They're probably right. So listen, most agencies do deserve skepticism, right? A lot of agencies, they sell activity. Few of them actually sell like outcomes. There's a difference between like running ads and building an acquisition system.
Welcome to another episode of the Growth Media Marketing Series. Today, Tony and I are going to talk about one of the most common things we hear. The marketing agency I worked with last burned me. Why should I trust you? Uncomfortable, Tony. Let's just dive right in, rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
So what do you say to the business owner who said, I've spent thousands on marketing agencies. I've gotten reports that no idea what it meant. I've gotten clicks. They say I've gotten all these great things, but really I've gotten nothing. So why should I trust you? Why should I do this all over again?
Well, first thing I say, they're probably right. So, listen, most agencies do deserve skepticism, right? A lot of agencies, they sell activity, right? Few of them actually sell like outcomes. There's a difference between like running ads and building an acquisition system, right? Again, it's part of why I started this, 4 or 5 years ago, right? Because, a lot of business owners, right? Especially the one that the good plumber, awesome guy that's been in business for over 50 years in our local community, and my wife happened to be the bookkeeper for him, and just spending ridiculous amounts of money and not even knowing what he was spending money on. But unfortunately, there's too much of that out there.
So you're telling me that agencies, they're really just trying to sell and they don't have my best interest for my business and the growth of that business.
Yeah. So here's the reason why I'm like huffing and puffing in that. Because listen, it's a touchy thing. I'm a very positive person, and I want to make sure that we all succeed. We could all win, right? I truly believe that we could all win as business owners. Think what happens is everyone is chasing. People don't want to spend money. People don't want to do things. So what they're doing is they're cutting corners, and they go straight for the ads. What they don't do is they don't set up any tracking. So it's not clear, right? There's no predefined cost per lead target. So they're, again, flying blind. There's no lead quality feedback loop. So, they're not communicating and saying, hey, Nicole, how did the leads look? Did you talk to any of them? What are you getting? You know what I mean? They're not doing any of that stuff. There's no funnel structure. There's no optimization cadence. What I mean by that is it's like, what are your rules for optimizing? What are your metrics that you use? What's your baselines of what's working, what's not working? So they just kind of run traffic, but they don't control math. And again, if you don't control math, you can't control growth, right? And it sucks. You know what I mean? I think what we try to do is we're trying to be very honest and upfront. Mm-hmm. A lot of people just do come to us and say, hey, can you run my ads? Which in certain circumstances we will do because they may already have some of these things in place, right? But we always lead them back to making sure that they understand and they know, what these things are, right?
Are not just selling what they think they need, but really looking at the strategy and saying, okay, based on where you're at, this makes sense and here's why. Walking through so that there is the clarity, so that you do have the numbers, so that we are looking at the right direction for your company.
And by the way, they may not know too, right?
Yeah.
Some of these people, maybe how they started, right, was, they were, hey, digital marketing's hot. It's a new thing on TikTok. They take a couple courses and, people, because again, every business owner is like, oh my God, I got to get on Facebook. I got to get on Facebook. And they hire some kid. They don't know. They don't even realize because it's the new hot thing. So I don't want to blame people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we spend a lot of time trying to educate. I don't expect you to do marketing, but as a partnership, enough that you won't get burned. That's what we're trying to do. You're not going to do all the mechanics, but when we have a conversation on our monthly routine, that client knows, as far as what the numbers are, how well it's doing, what adjustments we need to make, and things like that. And they can walk away, in some months it's not good, right? But they know it's not good. They know what tweaks we're going to make and see what it works, right? Mm-hmm. It is a partnership and it does take time. And when you're trying to cut corners and you're trying to do things for bare bones, nothing, it's really hard to do all those things. And you're not getting the best service.
Sometimes you hire someone knowing their limitations and expecting them to be able to grow with you or to do the next thing, and they're not always capable. It's
Yeah.
important as a business owner to also know the limitations of what they can or can't do but I digress. The agency gave me reports. I saw clicks. So I saw those things and it just didn't work. It wasn't there. What do you say to that?
So here, when's the last time that clicks paid your payroll? Or that said, how about leads? Does that pay your employees?
It doesn't.
No. So if you don't know your cost per lead, you don't know your cost per appointment, right? You don't know your close rate. You don't know your customer value. If you're just in the business of doing one sale, one and done, then, that purchase is what that is. But for a lot of businesses, customer long-term value is something we talk about. Just because they spent $5 today, because they keep coming back over and over and over again, that end might be a $20,000 customer years later,
Yeah.
right? And if you know those numbers, right, you know that you're willing to spend more for that lead because on average, most people continue buying, for that long. So again, if you don't know these things, you're flying blind.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people fly blind. And that's what that's the point that we're trying to get across. If you understand this and things like that, how important numbers are and, statistics. And again, if you guys are business owners or if you're CFOs, accountants, like people that, right? What comes in, what comes out, it better all match up at the end of the year, right?
So the problem is the agency then.
Listen, sometimes, right? Sometimes it's also expectations. So, unfortunately, is not like waving some kind of magic wand or anything like that, right? It's math plus time. It's a system that you build, right? It's not a lottery ticket.
Which is good because I don't win those.
Yeah, I don't even play. I'd rather earn the million, however long the lottery ticket is. So,
Yeah, I'm with you.
yeah. So anyway, that's another conversation for another day.
So I was burned before.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking for something new because I need to grow. So what should I ask someone then before hiring an agency or what should I ask to determine if this is the agency that I want to hire or the person that I want to work with?
Listen, so ask them, hey, what's my target cost per lead? What's your optimization cadence? How do you guys track attribution? How do you measure lead quality? When do we scale? Or when do we cut something? If they can't answer those questions clearly, honestly, just walk away. Just walk away. Honestly, there's plenty of marketing agencies out there, right? So just go ahead, go to the next one. But yeah, ask those questions.
My agency that I worked with, they spent 3 hours and nothing happened.
Oof. These are questions that come, was there a demand for what they were offering? Like, was there a demand? Was their offer strong enough? What about their sales process? Because that's another thing that, I see a lot too. You're generating all these leads and things like that. And then, you test and you put your lead and then you act like as a customer to whatever. And you find out that, man, their sales process sucks. Right. But, do they have some marketing amplifiers? What's already out there, knowing that? But at the end of the day, there's certain foundational things, right, that need to get fixed. If someone spent that kind of money and didn't get any results.
So you're telling me that sometimes it's not the agency. Sometimes it's my system. It's me.
So it could be both. Yeah, no, it can. I'm going to tell you a funny story. The DJ business is a fun business, so we have all the perfect system. We meet all these clients, and I got brave, and I let somebody else take the lead on the sales call, and they went terribly. And luckily, because I was there, I was able to kind of bring it back. Sometimes it's both, right? You know what I mean? But great agencies, what they're going to do is they're going to ask all the hard questions right before they take your money. If it's the pricing or the offer, or like if the process is broken, like you really want to look at fixing that first, because ultimately, everyone should win if it's done right. Again, it's a partnership. The people we want to work with, right, are the people that want a partnership that we can kind of work together, good or bad, right? We're not perfect, but working together, we can get to a lot of great places.
Yeah, we always say it has to go back and forth. We need that candid honesty, from both directions. So what you're happy with, what you're unhappy with, where your concerns are, and that mutual respect to be able to work together and grow your business. Because at the end of the day, we grow when you grow.
I mean, when we first started this several years ago, we weren't getting these super big clients, right? We were getting the little guys just starting off and stuff like that. But it's been
Still
so
my
cool. Because at the core of our heart, right, we remember the people that came to us with nothing, right? And it's really cool, like over the years, watching them grow their businesses, right? Yeah. It's super cool.
It's rewarding.
And obviously, listen, we're just here to help and guide them and hold their hand a little bit, but ultimately, at the end of the day, they're the ones that are winning because they're the ones that are, servicing the customer and doing all the things and the suggestions and stuff like that. So, but it's cool because at the end of the day, when we lay down at night, it's very satisfying because watching people, good people, by the way, right? Hardworking people, it's cool, right? It's kind of why we do what we do.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very rewarding to see that growth and that success.
Yeah. And listen, if it doesn't work out, right? Again, at the end of the day, those things happen from time to time too, and that's okay.
Let's dive into how growth media is different.
We build the foundation first, and again, if you have an amazing house on a shitty foundation, so listen, the infrastructure is you set up the tracking, right? You set up your CRM system if you don't have one, right? You do like a sales pipeline, right? You call recording, you clear identify your attribution. After all those things are in place, then you launch. Because now you have the numbers, you have the statistics, and you know exactly what's kind of going on. And most agencies, they just launch the ads. Week one, we build what they call like our digital plumbing. That's what we do first. We get all the tracking, put together.
What if someone says, I just want the leads now. I just need this piece.
No, what I say to those people, then don't even waste your money, because in order to predict something, you got to have data, you got to test, and you got to have patience. So it takes 60 to 90 days to calibrate things. Sometimes day one, boom, magical things happen, depending on the industry. Some industries are trickier because of competition or regulation. Sometimes it takes off, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, right? So, after we optimize and we got these things running, then you can look at scaling, right? Until you get all those things tweaked, then you can do it.
Okay. So
right?
We're not going to the gym and throwing on the 200-pound weights.
Listen, in today's society, everybody wants a quick fix, right? And there's no quick fix. And I think, what's interesting is that when you look at people, whether you get the Steve Jobs of the world, anyone successful, when we see them now. But 40 years ago, or 30 years ago, when they started their businesses, they were stumbling all over the place, right? But year after year after year, it's that consistency, right? That constant growth, and it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. It's just like marketing. Just gotta be consistent with it.
How do we reduce risk for someone who has been burned?
What you do is before you start, you have clear what they call KPIs, key performance indicators, right? Up front. Like what are the things that are going to indicate to you that we're successful, right? For some, it might just be eyes. And now it's getting 1,000 visits a day, and we're getting X amount of forms. And so it doesn't have to be complicated, but at least, you have indicators that, this is what telling you that these are doing well. If you're running ads, like how many clicks, depending on what your goal is for your campaign. The other thing is like, having dashboards that are transparent, meaning you show all the data, the important data, not just hide things because it makes it look good. And I think that's why when some of these people set things up, they sent you, how many people like, I keep getting these reports, but I don't know what the hell to read them, right? I don't even know what they mean, so I don't even look at it, right? We hear a lot about that, right? So you have to sit down with them and review them weekly.
Yeah.
When you're looking at things, you got to decide, make decisions on certain, rules, and when the move, when the zig, when the zag, and change things up. You can't hide behind, metrics that don't mean anything, vanity metrics, right? So we don't promise speed. We don't overpromise speed, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We obviously want to try to get things set up as quickly as possible to get things running. We try to be realistic in what we're saying and be upfront with everything.
What if marketing just doesn't work for their business?
Listen, then it can only be three things.
What are those
Right.
three things?
Well, no demand.
You mean like paying for my landscaping ad and it's winter?
Yeah, maybe there's no market. Or your offer sucks. That's another thing. It's like, why should I buy now? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why does Black Friday create so much havoc? Because they're doing 20% off and all these one-time deals, or hey, I only have 4 of these things, right? And once they're gone, right? So that's things like that. And the other one is just, again, having a poor sales process.
So advertising works when there's a demand, when
Yes.
the offer is strong, and when follow-up is fast. B to lead.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yep.
Okay, so what do we say to the skeptical business owner who's maybe watching this? So what message would you want them to get?
Yeah, that they're right. They're not wrong. Right?
Being skeptical is good.
No, listen, you're right. Listen, I think mechanics have a bad rap like that too. No one trusts a mechanic.
I trust
'cause-
mine.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's the same one that I know that I go to too.
Need a mechanic? Drop a plug now.
But mechanics, right? It's like one of those things where, like, people, because again, they don't know what they're doing, and you hear all nightmare stories. Like, they say they replaced my damn brake pads, but they didn't replace my brake pads. They put all what. So it's kind of like the same thing. In every industry, there's reasons to kind of worry. But again, if you're going to a reputable place that does the right thing, that is not afraid to sit there and be like, hey, call my clients or call some of my past clients. Don't be confused, like, as far as like bad marketing execution with marketing that's not working. Don't confuse it too, because there's a difference, right? There's a difference between wasting money and having a structure that you can scale to grow your business. If you don't have a structure, you're gambling.
So you're not promising this magic system and this is what I need and voila, you can do it.
No,
Darn.
we promise math. I like math. I like numbers
Numbers.
because they don't lie.
Numbers don't lie. Look at the metrics. Do you know how many visitors are on your website? Do you know what that traffic looks like? Do you know when
Yes.
when the traffic spikes and why? Start there, right? You have a website. Do you have the tracking? If you're on Facebook, do you have the Facebook pixel? Like, the numbers don't lie. So having the plumbing set up so that you have that information.
If you have general questions at all and you want to ask us, that's fine too. We're here to help.
Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you learned something new. We'll see you next week.
And if you didn't learn anything, it's okay too.
Yeah, you can let us know. That's okay too.